everyone, I'm Priyanka and welcome to my channel The Terrace Kitchen. I got a lot of requests from you all to make eggless cake recipes without oven and also without eggless cake concentrate and gel. So today I'm going to show you how to make basic eggless vanilla sponge cake. But you need to follow my instructions very carefully to get the perfect results. If you like this recipe, do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe my channel for more videos. And do not forget to leave your suggestions and comments in the comment section below. Now let's take a look at the recipe.
Let's take a look at the ingredients. We need 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence. You can use any brand's vanilla essence. 1/4 cup of unsalted butter at room temperature. 1 and 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour or maida. 1 cup of warm milk. 1 teaspoon vinegar. 1½ teaspoon baking powder. 1/4 cup of corn flour, also called as cornstarch. 1/2 cup of milk powder. You can use any brand's milk powder. 3/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon of icing sugar. If you're not using this, you can use finely powdered sugar. 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And to bake the cake, you will need a cake tin or cake mold. I'm using 6-inch diameter cake tin. I've lined this with butter paper at the bottom as well as from the sides. It becomes very easy to take the cake off the mold if you line the mold like this. Now let's take a look at the recipe. So before we start with the ingredients, this is the oven setup which we are going to use. So this is a pressure cooker, an old pressure cooker, and I've lined this with some salt. You can see the color of the salt is not white because this is the same salt which I'm reusing from my pizza recipe. Now place a stand on this. The mold I'm going to use has a removable bottom, that's why I'm going to place a plate on it. If you're using a normal mold, directly place it on the stand. Place the pressure cooker's lid and do not forget to remove the whistle, it's very important. Now preheat this pressure cooker between low to medium flame for 10 minutes. Preheating is very important. Meanwhile, this pressure cooker oven gets preheated, let's prepare the cake batter. In a bowl, take 1/4 cup of unsalted butter at room temperature. Make sure you scrape out all the butter. Now using a whisk, beat this for a minute. So after beating the butter for a minute, add the icing sugar. I'm using 3/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon. I suggest that you use icing sugar only, but if you do not have icing sugar, you can use regular powdered sugar as well, but it should be finely powdered. Now give this a good mix and beat for 2 to 3 minutes till this becomes very light and fluffy. You will see the butter and sugar will not come together easily, but as soon as you keep beating it, it will. So you can see it's been 2 to 3 minutes and this has become very light. Look at it. Even the color has become lighter. Now in a bowl, take 1/2 cup of milk powder. Add 1 cup of warm milk. The milk should be warm and not hot. We're using warm milk because the milk powder doesn't get dissolved in cold milk easily. The milk should be warm and not hot. You need to take care of that. Now add 1 teaspoon of vanilla essence and mix it well. Now add this liquid to the butter sugar mix. Gently mix this. We don't want to overbeat it here. Okay, you can see a little bit of butter floating at the top. That's fine. Do not overbeat and don't try to mix it. This is absolutely fine. Now we are going to add the dry ingredients. Add 1 and 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour or maida. 1/4 cup of corn flour, also called as cornstarch. 1½ teaspoon of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Sift all this well. Now gently fold the dry ingredients into the wet mix. I'm showing this in fast forward, but I'm actually doing it very slowly. So you need to be gentle with this. Just before baking, add 1 teaspoon of vinegar and lightly fold using a spatula into the batter. I've made my cake mold ready. I've lined it with butter paper from all the sides. No need to grease and dust with maida, just line with butter paper. I highly recommend the use of butter paper or parchment paper to line the mold. Also, before you make your batter, you need to keep your mold ready. Now tap the mold like this to remove any air bubble, and now we are going to bake this cake in our homemade pressure cooker oven. Remove the pressure cooker's lid and place the cake mold gently. Be careful while placing this because the pressure cooker is hot. Now place the lid on. Now comes the most crucial part, that is the baking. Follow my instructions carefully. We are going to bake this cake for around 50 to 55 minutes. For first 30 minutes you need to keep the flame between low to medium, not low. And then for the remaining time you need to keep the flame on low. So it's been total of 55 minutes. You can see the cake has very uniformly risen. You don't see a big dome at the center. This is the sign that you have got a very good cake. And yes, one more thing, if you see, we had filled the mold halfway and you can see how much this has risen. Also, it springs back when I press it. I'll put a skewer inside. You can see it has come out clean. I took out the mold from the cooker and placed it on a wire rack. If you do not have a wire rack, you can place it on any elevated stand. Cover this with a cloth and let it cool completely. So the cake has cooled down completely. Now we'll run a knife along the edges of the cake. We have used butter paper, so we don't really need to do this, but it will help us demold the cake better. So I'm going to place a glass. You can place a glass or a bowl and push the sides of mold like this. But if your mold is not this kind, you can flip the cake on a plate and then demold it by tapping. I'll show you the bottom of the cake. Look at this beautiful cake. See how it's springing back? Remove the butter paper from the sides as well. You can see the sides have perfectly browned. These are not overdone. These are not burnt and are spongy as well. Our beautifully gorgeous cake is ready to be served. Enjoy!